In this next section is Emily Donnan. Emily comes here to share her experience of advocacy in our sector and to share her recipe for growing our sector's capacity to advocate for quality early education. Emily's passion for early education and care led her to obtain her Associate Diploma in 1998. Emily has worked across a number of private and community childcare centres as an educator, room leader and director. In 2007, Emily began the next steps in her development, starting her Bachelor of Teaching at the University of New England, and completed, like many educators, while working full-time in 2009. Emily has dedicated more than 17 years to the development of children across Greater Sydney. As a director, she has mentored many new educators, and in 2010, became an active member of the Big Steps campaign. Like all educators, Emily has always in her role advocated for children. Her role in the Big Steps campaign saw her take on a lead role in advocating on behalf of educators. Emily soon became a national convener of Big Steps, taking up not only the issues of wages in our sector, but through her work in Big Steps, seeks now to build a collective in our sector to advocate for quality early education and professional recognition of early childhood educators. I'd like to welcome Emily Donnan.
Thank you for that introduction. Before I start, I know 17 years sounds a lot and I don't actually look that old, but it's really good genes. One of the things on my side. But before I start, I would like to also acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land which we meet and pay our respects to the elders both past, present and future, for they hold the memories, the traditions, the culture and hopes of Aboriginal Australia. I would also like to pay my respects to any Indigenous people in the room today. I feel really privileged about sharing this space with so many other advocates, both on the stage but also in this room, and there's so many out there as well. I'd like to say a special thanks to Leanne for the invitation, and I wish her and Child Care Co-operative a really happy social birthday today. I would also like to take you all on a journey of my personal experience of stepping up and what you too can create if you desire. Actually, by the end of my session, I hope that you all realise that you all can. Now, Jane Currow said that we can have one moment of being a bitch today, and I'm going to be a bitch. She took my spot, so I was hoping that you're all really hungry by the time I spoke before the morning tea. So, I would like to warn you all that of some items that may make you hungry, and I apologise ahead if I offend anyone with food allergies. I too am celiac, so I'm very conscious of the content. Oh, okay. This is required too. So when I was thinking about what it is you put into stepping up, I wondered, what would advocacy taste like when you put it all together, when you put all those elements together? Would it be a lemon tart, sweet yet sour, that makes you wince with its flavour but always has its dedicated tasters? A gobstopper, sweet, hard and something that requires constant sucking to get anywhere? A trifle, suspicious from the outside but once you delve in, quite surprisingly tasty, all of those layers worth taking a risk? Or just something bittersweet? For me, I want to choose something called passion fruit surprise pie. The base. You always need a base. To understand one story, I think it's important to go right back to the base. Recently I heard a very wise woman saying, it doesn't explain everything, but it does explain a little. The base of my beginnings have to come from my own early childhood. Let's say it was as colourful as a packet of Skittles and as rotten as green eggs. It sounds pretty bleak at this point, but really I would not change it for a second. Filled with poverty, violence, neglect, drug-affected father, an extended family and an array of siblings would build my base. Whilst I knew no different, I remember feeling a sense of relief and peacefulness every day I attended a preschool. The safety of my teachers, an eagerness to explore the nature, the crunchy cicadas, milk moustaches at afternoon tea, the delight of the peppermint Play-Doh and the softness of blue bed sheets. The teachers allow me to explore and dream and forget all of my troubles. Having grown up with a single mother who worked 7 days a week showed me strength, and she always inspired me to work for what you want, that anything is possible, that we are responsible for ourselves, but we should always help those in need. Here's my passion. Passion fruit pie. At the age of 17, it was a pretty easy choice for my passion in life. Early childhood education care was for me. It was and still is my passion to provide and advocate early childhood education care so that each child has a safe and nurturing environment where they too can dream, explore, learn and feel safe. As we all know, there are so many studies and research to support this universal right of the child, which Leanne talked about before. But as a young child, I always knew deep down in my bones that it just felt right for us to all have this in life. As I entered into my studies in early childhood, I was warned by my high school teachers, friends and family that there was no money in childcare, so I must do it for the love. I naturally swallowed this concept and subsidised my own income for 10 years with a second or third job so I could follow my passion. Many of my colleagues would say it was just a given thing and that you should just have to deal with it. Like many of you, I saw many changes in early childhood for the better, and I have openly welcomed the National Quality Framework, but through all this change, there was one thing that didn't, and that was the recognition of early childhood education care, who I believe are the backbone to early childhood. Years and years of managing teams of educators seemed a bit like impossible pie, but all for the wrong reasons. Educators were leaving in their droves, finding new careers because they were feeling too undervalued and simply just burnt out. Every time one of our skilled and specialised educators left, our team was turned on its head and the children were left to bear. And for those educators I grew to love for the same passion, I would find myself in regular trouble for standing up for them when they faced everyday challenges from employees who disregarded their rights. So yes, I've been fired a lot and I've left a lot, but all for the right reasons. The passion I had for the children seemed almost impossible to live on. I was looking for something new to fix this, a solution. What could I add? The surprise. I'm thinking about red jumpers right now. Couldn't find any this morning. Someone would call this finding a common goal, but I would like to call it the surprise moment, the aha moment. The ball finally dropped for me. So in 2010, I joined the Big Steps campaign with United Voice. It is a campaign for professional recognition and professional wages for all educators across Australia. Big Steps just made sense to me. Joining a large group of like-minded educators that were also willing to ruffle some feathers and not just put up with it because it was expected to. These women, and yes men, wanted to speak up about how they felt undervalued and the struggles they face at the expense of the children. The campaign appealed to me because it holds the government accountable for its duty to support, invest and acknowledge the importance for the early years. Big Steps was easy for me to identify with, and in fact, the underlying ideologies are similar to our everyday practices in early childhood education care, and this includes community, advocacy, respect, leadership, the rights of the child, quality and a sense of belonging. I was no longer left alone to burn, and my story mattered. No one else could tell it for me, so I knew it was my responsibility to share it, and it was time to step up. Let's have the eggs in now. Well, let's have a crack at having fun while we're doing all this. I must say that through all of the highs and lows, the late nights, the awkward moments, party spoilers and sour looks, having fun really is needed. Some examples of my favourite fun times was Peter Garrett being summoned to play his guitar to a raving group of educators in government. Tamika Hicks, who's well known for relentless political photo bombing. Marion's hair obsessions in front of the cameras, which would hold us back for 10 minutes, sometimes half an hour. Missed planes, and of course delirium from happy exhaustion. Do you all remember the crisis summit last year in June that Julia Gillard attended with the employees? Well, I was really fortunate to have been invited to a small round table meeting afterwards with Julia in the next room. Now, whilst we were waiting for her, the 5 of us had to wait about an hour for her, and we were all extremely nervous. We all had dry mouth, we all had sweats, the nervous wheeze, and paced up and down the halls trying to remember what we were going to say. When we were finally taken into the room to wait for our lovely, for Julia Gillard, our lovely organiser Gay was trying to occupy our nerves, and she started doing interpretive dance to make us all laugh. Now, it was pretty funny to us because her staffers thought we were crazy, and probably at that point we were. 5 minutes later, Julia walks in, and Sandra, who was standing next to me, says, "What the heck was I supposed to say?" And we both shrugged from nerves. We all stood up together to greet Julia, and as soon as we sat down, Julia kind of misjudged the chair and the height of the chair, and she fell into it as we all sat down together. Now, because you know when you're in church and you're trying really hard not to laugh? Yeah. Well, she laughed first and we couldn't stop laughing afterwards. Now, that's what I call a really good icebreaker. We need some creative juices now. In order to keep things fresh, people engaged and get noticed, let's throw in some creativity. Now, this can come in many forms so that everyone can get involved. Can you paint, cook, songwrite, sing, draw, cut, paste, dress up, face paint, wrap, table decorate, do IT design, do social media? Anyone will do. It's all needed. I know it sounds like a normal day in the office, but I guess that's what makes it so much easier. Dusting off the flour. I would call this resilience. For anyone that wants to push for change, there's a group of those that want to push you back. Some may call them trolls or haters. I call them party spoilers. If you campaign or cause is being talked about, it means it's stirring things up, what Jane Curry was saying earlier, and getting the attention of others. The Big Steps campaign is no exception to this, but what has kept me going is knowing what we are fighting for. This is my beautiful 5-year-old. Her name's Jodie. She was born 5 years ago on Valentine's Day. I like to call her my Big Steps baby because she's attended quite a lot of events and she's politically advanced compared to other 5-year-olds. But she likes to call herself the love child, and she told everyone on her first day at school that she was the love child, which is so sweet. Bless. Now, Jodie and her peers have been able to participate in some curriculum in the Big Steps campaign in the centres that she was attending, where the educators were able to link the Big Steps campaign to the values of the Early Years Learning Framework. So, yep, she knows a lot of stuff. She calls Julia Jules and Kate Ellis Kate and Peter Pete. And on the day of the results of the election, we had a new government. She said to me, "Who's that guy?" I said, "That's Tony Abbott." She said, "Is he nice?" I said, yeah, he's okay. And she said, "Does he know about Big Steps?" I said, "Yeah." "Does he like it?" "No." And she said, "We're going to have to teach him, Mum." Yeah, I do. Stir it up a bit. Part of standing up, stepping up and speaking out is to stir it up and make a scene. Yes, this will require you to move outside your comfort zone, to push the barriers. The benefit of this is to provoke as much as you can and shift the okay, that was unexpected, actions around you. To make the stir, we call this surround sound, and it's an array of different methods that you can do in any campaign or cause that you're doing. And the point of surround sound is to make sure that you are so loud and so annoying that people don't have a choice but to listen. So we got very creative, and there's just some examples of what we did. For so long, early childhood educators and the wider community have been complacent about the importance of the early years, but also the role the educator has in making the change. Many want to leave it to others to create the change, or simply just believe that it can't happen. How is change created if we don't push the boundaries? I can say that I have to push my own personal boundaries to create an influence. I never thought 3 years ago that I would ever be able to do public speaking, do media, or make politicians. To go from a fleeing educator to a media whore is quite astounding. Victory pie. There's a passion fruit pie or victory pie. It's important to acknowledge that yes, there are setbacks, but there are also melting moments that should be digested and enjoyed. I would like to share with you some of those. On November 17 last year, 12,000 people attended National Big Steps Days. Educators, directors and leaders, children in the community came together to show that this matters and made it clear this was important to them as well. We've had early childhood education care almost daily in the news, and educator stories and the need for quality early childhood has been plastered all through the media. Quality has finally been put on the political agenda, and for the first time in history we had a government provide funds for professional wages and looking to pay equity for the profession. Yes, there's still some way to go, but there is no denial of these achievements. The masterclass. This has to be my favourite part. It's been absolutely amazing and a privilege to meet such extraordinary educators and leaders across the country who also speak out, not just for the rights of the children, but also their own rights. Over the past year, 1 in 4 educators across Australia have made the choice to join this masterclass and be part of creating this change, which makes for some great company, networking, support and storytelling. I've made friends for life, I believe. Let's keep it cooking, everyone. We are now at a moment in time where early childhood education care is on top of the menu. We need to make sure it stays there, but all for the right reasons. Will it be spoiled by new government, or will it continue to flourish? Now is the time for each educator to remember why they chose teaching, choose their dish and come to the table. You're all invited. Let's have a cake and eat it too. We can have it both ways. Quality education and quality educators. Thank you.